Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor gives you sports betting tips. This is the show from Monday, April 15th, Major League Baseball. A couple of quick housekeeping items before we get started here into this. First off, the show recording time still very much up in the air on how I'm going to do this, and there's a couple of reasons why, and we'll kind of talk about them a little bit more as the show goes on for a couple different reasons. Either way, the Monday shows, if we are doing them the day before, will have to be a little bit later at night on Sunday because of kids, that sort of stuff, not being in school. So that changes that a little bit. The other thing to mention here, it really is on the next slide. So I kind of just want to get to that, but you've seen the Dove Club site. You'll know how to get there, and you know what you should expect in the free trial. So I mean, I've said that enough. What I want to do here is the recap so far. And if you've been here long enough, number one, we're very big on transparency. We're not going to win every single day. We're not going to win every single week. That's just kind of the way it goes. And we don't run from that. We'd like to. That'd be fun, but that's not necessarily realistic. And so the idea here is there have been some things that have gone really well so far this baseball season. There have been some things that haven't. It's still a relatively small sample size for the amount of season that we're in. But we are at a point where we have enough data here, and I already mentioned last week the adjustment that I've made to totals here, trying to kind of make sure that we were capturing what was really happening. We don't want to overreact to something really small, but we don't want to miss something either and just kind of keep on banging our heads against the wall, right? As you can see there on screen, first 5 A grades have been fantastic. You can only get those on Dub Club. I'll give out one first free 5 play most every day. Some days there's just not one I really love. That's the extra credit there. That's on Twitter. If you follow me there, if you're on Dub Club, you get that sent to you as well. So you don't need to be on Twitter as well. You don't even have to follow me. You don't even have a Twitter account. You can just pull up my Twitter page and find it there. 4-1 this last week on those, 10-5 on the season, and a 34% ROI has gone really well. The first 5 A grade totals have gone really well this season. The first 5 A grade sides have gone really well this season. Full game A grade sides have still gone pretty well. This last week, we were basically break even, dropped 0.9 units, but still a 4% ROI on the season. What hasn't gone well, and I probably put too much on the slide anyway, this is probably bad presentations 101, right? A grade totals have not gone well. Now, hopefully that's fixed now. Hopefully we're going in the right direction. That's part of the reason why the show picks haven't gone well if you've been here. So it's been a mixed bag. The play of the days haven't gone well either. So it's been a very mixed bag. If you're with us over on Dub Club, you're rightfully frustrated at the plays of the day, but the A grade sides are hopefully making up for it. The A grade first 5s are hopefully making up for it. If you're just with us here on the free stuff, the free show picks have been not good on the whole. Hopefully you're getting the Twitter free picks as well. And so you're at least getting some there. So it's been a very mixed bag. I always want to maximize what's working well and minimize what's not. How much should we be playing first 5s is a question I've long wondered. I toyed with the first 5 model a couple of years ago, but it was a very different iteration. It was basically just an iteration off the full game model. It wasn't really what I've done now. What I've done now with the first 5 model that I built like middle of the season last year is truly, I think, what it should be. I think I did it right this time. And started tracking that last year and things were going well with it. But it's still like a lot of these models are still relatively new for me. I just don't have a ton of data to really test them. And so I'm kind of trying to figure it out as we go along. The first 5s have gone well. How much should we be playing those? I don't actually know the answer. I wish I did. I wish, and at some point, maybe in 20 years, I'll be able to say, yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years now. And I just don't have that experience with this model. I've been doing a lot of this for many years now, but the player-based models specifically are still relatively young. When you compare things like Zips that's been out there that Zimborski's been doing for over 20 years now, right? So I just don't have the data that he has. So all that to say, I'm very pleased with the first 5s. Should we be doing more of them? Maybe. That's one thing I'm thinking about. The first 5 markets are not generally out the night before. They're maybe at like 1 book, 2 books by the time I lock in picks. If we're doing them the afternoon before, none of them are out. Maybe we'll do an early morning show, and that way we can do some first 5s, or maybe we should just do doing more first 5s. It's possible The model has bullpen stuff in it, but the bullpen stuff is different. There's a chance I'm not modeling it very well. I mean, I'm not perfect, right? I'm not saying I've nailed it. There's a chance that I'm not doing it very well, that the ratio of how pitchers are used. And then there's the whole, like, has a guy gone the day before, that I need to, that I don't have right now. And is he available? And I've talked about that with a few guys, Kopech for the White Sox and Miller for the Ace being the two that I've talked about. There's a couple more out there probably. So is it possible that the model's just going to do better at first five? Unfortunately, I wish I knew the answer and I could tell you by the end of the season, we'll have enough data. We should have a decent idea, but it's very possible. I'm planning on at some point going back and looking at last year's data and seeing if I could get a better feel for it and hopefully maybe get a guess as to that answer. But if the first five is going to do better the entire season, then we should just be doing morning shows and first five picks. And I'll still have the full game model projections for everybody, but like the recommended picks. And the reason I say that it is twofold, and this is the last thing I want to say here, because I know we got to get to the picks here. Apologies if this is too long. You don't have to comment about it. I know it's a long thing, but there are a lot of you watching the show, and there are a lot of you on Dub Club. And I know that you're all a little bit different. You're all your unique little snowflakes. And I say that as a joke, but you're all a little different. And that's great. You all have a little bit different knowledge, a little bit different expertise, a little bit something different of what you're looking for from me. Some of you are more on the edge of the spectrum where you're kind of just looking for a recommended pick. And that's okay. And I hear from some of you, and I want to figure out how to help you. And some of you are more for this as a tool in your toolbox. And I'm giving you a lot of analytics and a lot of thresholds and a lot of things to think about and a lot of, is this a good price? And a lot of, maybe we should be looking at run lines or money lines or minus ones or first. And I'm just part of a tool for your process. There's a whole gamut of that. And I completely understand that. If you're on that latter end, nothing's changing. Nothing can change. Dub Club's still gonna have all the information for you. So you can breathe easy there. I'm not worried about you because if I'm just a tool part of your process, I guarantee I'm helping you. I know that because I know that you're being a smarter, better. You're thinking through what good prices are, and I know overall it's helping. The more that you're on the other side, if I'm speaking to you, who's looking for more recommended picks, that's where I want to try to just give out what's best, and that's where I try to do that. Whether it's the best backs, the play of the day, what we're giving on free show, everything I give out, I try to make sure it's the best. And that's where if we start shifting to maybe an early morning show, because that's when the first five markets are actually out and everybody can play them as opposed to just being like one or two books. I'd love to do a late night show. I'm not sure that's good for my schedule with the kids and everything, unfortunately. So I might just do it early morning. But if we do good for first five, all the stuff will still be there. But if I do, it's because I'm trying to make sure that we're getting the subset of plays, it's really good. And I think you see that's why, I said that's the last thing. This is the last thing. I think that's why the extra credit picks have done so well, because the subset that I'm picking from, those first five picks, are incredibly doing great. So it's like I've got all these winners to pick from, basically. Plays of the day, not as good. Some of that's a little bit of variance. I guess it's really small samples. But the free show picks are all full game picks, and that's where the sides have done well, but the totals haven't. And that's where I went to only sides on the last show. And I think we were like 5-1 or something. I had a pretty good day on Saturday if you followed the recommended picks there. So trying to figure out what's best, might go more first five, but nothing's going to change. So all the same things. But if we end up more exploring that market, it's because I'm trying to not overreact to what's going on so far, but trying to make sure we're maximizing what's going well. So things to think about. That was a long time. I am so sorry, but some quick reminders. Model information, community rules, pickswiththeprofessor.com/new. Y'all probably know all this by now, but I'm projecting an average game. Do not know what will happen in one game. That's why anything is a good bet at the right price or number, because anything can happen in one game. So if you get a good enough price, you should be interested. What we're trying to do is figure out, is that price good? We are recording for 24 hours for these games, with the exception of the early one. So the weather can change. I'll mention it, but updates obviously always on Dub Club. There are no locks in Gimli. The A grades are the best value. That does not mean they're guaranteed to win. They just have the best long-term ROI. But as always, take what you like and leave the rest. And if you're still with me at this point, thank you for listening for the first 10 minutes. But please hit the like button on this show, even though it's got the longest intro I've probably ever had. We'll start off here, 11:10 a.m. Eastern, the Boston Marathon game that they do annually every year, early morning game after the marathon. I believe it's the only game of the year that starts at the a.m. in the Eastern time zone. And so this is an annual tradition they've started doing. Weather-wise, it'll be a nice day, mid-60s. Wind will be blowing out 10 to 15 miles an hour out to right center field. So you've got a pitcher, it should be a hitter-friendly ballpark and hitter-friendly weather conditions. So we should expect a lot of runs. There's a reason the total is 9.5 instead of 9, right? I'd love to go over 9 with reasonable odds. Don't think you're going to get it. 9.5 10 is what this should be priced at. So it's priced really well there. With regards to the X's and O's of who's going to win this game, Xavier Curry for the Guardians has not pitched yet in the big leagues. Cutter Crawford has. Crawford's been fantastic. Underlying metrics, a little bit of a mixed bag, but I still think he's an above-average pitcher. The Red Sox will have an edge at starting pitcher that'll disappear when it gets to the bullpen. Offensively, I cannot believe we're saying this, but look at this Red Sox offense. And part of this is Trevor Story being out. Part of it is, once they decided to move on from Mookie, they just haven't really stocked their offense up that much and moved on from JD Martinez, right? I guess, whoever else they've moved on from. I can't even keep it all straight at this point, but that's just a terrible offense. We're number 28 in baseball. The Guardians offense has been pretty good this year. Is it a little bit flukish? Hard to say. What I will say is, again, we've talked about it a lot, right? Their kryptonite is lefty. They are so left-handed heavy. And so they get even better against a righty. So, the Guardians, again, I cannot believe it's going to have an edge on offense, but the Red Sox have the edge. Pitching-wise, you put all that together, and the model says this is a straight-up coin toss 50-50, and that the price should be literally even money for both sides. It's not even a 101, right? So this is one where if you can find good enough plus odds, it'd be worth the investment. Right now, the A grade threshold for the Guardians is plus 112. The current price that I'm seeing is plus 109. What I'm doing here, and I'm doing this for a reason, I want to make sure that our official picks are good. And so I'm trying to be a little bit more selective. I'm going to pass on this for now. Okay. Want to see the first 5 markets, want to see the run line markets. Cause at this point I have a run line pulled down on half these games here on Sunday, late or early evening. This would be a B grade pick on the Guardians right now. So if you're going to play it, that's the best bet in my opinion, because plus 109 in a who the heck knows game is not a bad idea. That said, the A grade sides have done well. It falls off of the B grade sides. That's what we expect. That's what's kind of mostly happened. And when it has not happened over a large sample size over anything I've done, that's when that's really confusing because it's very rare. It usually works like it should, where the ROI goes down the line, right? So, maybe this price gets a little bit better in the morning and we can lock that in. And again, as a reminder, the reason we want the better price has nothing to do with this game, because the Guardians are either going to win or they're going to lose. And I don't know the answer to that. And you don't either. No one does until it happens. And maybe you're watching this at 4 p.m. and you know what happened, right? That's cheating. It's that how many 50-50 games are we going to play all season? Probably a decent amount. So if I play them all at plus 109 or all at plus 115, I'm going to do better at the plus 115, because the plus 115, I can afford to lose an extra couple and still be positive, or my ROI is just that much better. So holding off for now, Guardians would be the pick. Plus 109 is not a bad investment, not officially locking it in, not running to lock it in. But folks, this would be, if nothing changes and nothing looks better in the first 5, come morning time, I'd play this at plus 109. So just depends on what's there. I played at plus 105, B grade thresholds, plus 104. I think plus 105 is fine. Even money is, you're not gaining any value, because who knows what's going to happen in this. So we need plus odds in this one. So looking Guardians, but not locking it in yet. But as always, I'll shop around. Book to book can have different prices, especially in these money lines. Make sure you have 3 or 4 books. You don't need 10. If you have 10, fine. I found it's diminishing returns on that. But if you don't bet US yet, sign up today. Link in the show description. 125% bonus on your first ever 3 deposits.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
Everything else is at night. Twins and Orioles. This one will be relatively Probably pitcher friendly because the wind will be strong and a pitcher friendly ballpark. The temperature will be fine, especially for April. For April, it's a nice day in Baltimore. Upper 70s to start, low 70s to close. Not warm enough to make the ball fly, not cold enough to make it not fly, but the wind blowing in at 10 to 15 miles an hour from left field. It's already almost impossible to hit the ball out left field unless you just crush it, because they lengthen those the fences out there, and the wind blowing in is going to make it even more pitcher friendly than that. So it's something to keep an eye on. Louis Varland and Cole Irvin are going to need all the help they can get. As you can see, according to the model there, both of their ratings are in the triple digits. Both of these guys have ERAs north of 8. Underlying metrics say probably not that bad, but we're not really overly optimistic about this. Louis Varland has a much better xFIP, but his FIP is terrible. It's only 9 innings. We're just kind of talking about so far, like, do we think they're in peak form to start off with? Cole Irvin, both FIP and xFIP, mid-4s, mid-5s. I mean, not really overly optimistic about either one of these guys. It's going to come down to the fact that the Orioles just have the much better offense. Bullpen-wise, these are two of the best bullpens in baseball. So really, we're just talking about the Orioles at home with the better offense. They're favored. They should be favored. The only question is, are they favored by too much or not enough? Sideline says they win 56% of the time and should be priced at minus 130. Right now, the model would give you a lean on the Twins. I'm not touching the Twins unless it gets to the A-grade threshold there of plus 150. Right now, I'm seeing plus 130, plus 135. I need really good value to play this Twins team. Not that I have anything against the Twins. We played them a lot this weekend, and I'll talk more about that later. It's that this Orioles team I really like. Their offense is good. Their bullpen's good. They're at home. Like, to me, I'm looking at this thinking it's Orioles or pass. And the fact that the model says the price should be minus 130 is what tells me not to play the Twins. It just says maybe just don't play the Orioles. Maybe look at the total market if you're looking for an investment in this game, because there's probably a good angle there. It's just minus 145, minus 150 on the price of the Orioles is just too much. It's not to say they don't win, but it goes back to what we talked about in that first game. How many games are we going to play that are 56-ish%, mid 50s, upper 50s? And if we're playing them all at minus 150, you're going to have to win 60%. That's the break-even threshold there. Right. So the bar is that much higher, and we'd rather make sure we're getting good prices on these games where the team should be favored, but they're not like, it's not like it's the Dodgers versus a AAA team. Right. So as a fan watching this, just with my eyeballs, I like the Orioles, but the price is too high. So I'm going to pass. And as opposed to the first game, well, the first game I'm saying I'm holding off on the Guardians, but I like the Guardians, and let's make sure we get the good market. And if we wake up in the morning and then the market's gone, it's gone. But nothing changed right now. I'm holding off on the Guardians. This one, I'm just passing on this one. I'm not holding off on the Twins unless the market gets a lot better, because I'm not fading this Orioles team unless the price is really good. So again, this one's probably more of a total play if you're looking for an investment in that game. And again, all the total information, first 5, run line, reverse run line, all that stuff over on Dub Club. Giants and the Marlins. This Giants team is an enigma to me. I do not understand them. There's times when they look great. We've seemed to back them a lot for various reasons. Sometimes it's the pitcher, sometimes it's the opposing team. Now they're playing the Marlins, and you're like, well, now if we're backing them, it's because we're fading the Marlins, right? Like, I just want them to play like a reasonable team and us be like, we're not fading the other team, we're not whatever. But we've been on the Giants a lot. Model probably likes them a little bit too much. They're not bad. They aren't good at this point, at least. I mean, it's early, right? But like, I just, Snell was disappointing today. Even Webb's been hit around a little bit. But I don't know. They have those games where, and it was Webb, but they won the Webb game on Saturday because of their offense. Webb, was respectable, was good, but it wasn't like, it was a 1-0 game, right? They just scored a crap ton of runs. And so it didn't matter what he did, really. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this Giants team. That's all. That's just the truth there. And this is why we have the model to try to help us figure it out. And the model is kind of saying run-of-the-mill offense, run-of-the-mill bullpen. In this case, run-of-the-mill pitcher in Kyle Harrison. Not a great ERA, good xFIP though. So I think we're thinking he's going to be very mediocre. AJ Puck. Talk about enigmas. How much longer is this experiment going to go? is he going to ever figure it out? The Marlins obviously were hurting for starting pitching. How trigger? I mean, we see different teams with different players get shuttled back and forth between the bullpen and the rotation, right? Is he going to end up being one of those now? I don't know. I have no idea. I think his last start was better, but I mean, that's only because the bar was so low. His ERA is still around 6, but the FIP is worse, and the XFIP is even worse than that. It's 771. I mean, that is just abysmal. So, I mean, to me, I look at this and I say, I need those underlying metrics for Puck to come down, to back to the earth before I back the Marlins. So I'm not backing the Marlins unless the price is amazing, because their offense isn't good. Their bullpen is scary, and I don't trust Puck. The Giants, I feel like we back them all the time. So I kind of feel like I want a really good price in the Giants, because if we are biased a little bit, maybe they don't win 54% of the time, as the model suggests. Maybe it's really 53, 52, because maybe we're just a little bit too rose-colored glasses on them for whatever reason, just how the model is seeing the team. If we trust the model on this one, model says the price should be -118. That makes the current price of -115. C plus grade, not quite to a B. The A grade threshold is -106. Like, if this gets the Giants -105, I play it. I don't understand why it would get there. This Marlins team isn't good, and I just don't have any faith in Puck. So it's like, that seems crazy. Like, to me, -115 seems like the best you're going to get in the C plus value. So it's like, to me, if you're going to play it, it's like, it's Giants at -115 or pass. I'm just like kind of tired of backing the Giants. So I'm not messing with this now. We'll see if the first 5 market offers anything, but it's just annoying when you back the same team over and over to mix results. It's much more fun. And it goes both ways. We talk about this. We backed the Texans like all NFL season. We're like, this team's better than people realize. And it worked for us mostly. They didn't win every week. Obviously, they didn't cover every week, but we made a lot of money on the Texans. That's more fun than this Giants team, where it's like, we kind of seem to back them all the time, and it's like not great results, I feel like. So passing on this one for now. We'll see in the morning. But to me, I'm afraid this is just a game we should be ignoring, because there's too many unknowns, too many question marks. The Giants are the only way I'd look, but -115, again, I think is the best you're going to get. But like, I don't know, maybe that's the best. I think it's probably the best play. I'm just not like super excited about it. So probably passing on that one. Rockies and the Phillies. Look, we can still make plays, people. There's a play on this game, so hang with me here. 20 minutes into the show. We're going to have nice weather in Philly here. Mid-70s to start, upper 60s to close. Wind will be blowing in at about 10 miles an hour, so that's going to make it fairly pitcher-friendly on this one. The Rockies will throw Cal Quantrill, who has been terrible. The underlying metrics aren't probably quite as bad, but he's a guy that we were always a little bit shaky on with Cleveland, kind of thinking a lot of what he was doing was luck-based, and that kind of fell apart with him towards the end of his tenure with the Guardians. So far, that's been the case here with the Rockies. Obviously, he won't have to pitch in the thin air, but even when he's not pitching in the thin air, I don't think he's that good of a pitcher. The Phillies' offense isn't great, but it's probably good enough to get some damage off of him. The Rockies' offense, not the worst in baseball, but not great, almost as good as the Red Sox, which is just hilarious to me. But going up against Aaron Nola, who did look better his last start, but still is concerning with some of these underlying metrics. Here's the thing. Nola, we talked about him last time out, has some of the biggest home road splits. Last time he did fine on the road. That was also good weather for him, which helped. Nola at home is better than Nola on the road by more than most pitchers are. You kind of trust Nola to figure it out against the Rockies. At this point, I'm concerned about him going forward, but I'm a little bit more concerned about him against the Braves. When they play, I don't know, this Cubs offense looks decent. This Brewers offense looks good all of a sudden, right? Obviously, when they play the Dodgers, right? When they're playing some of the more contending teams here, that's what I'm a little bit more concerned about Nola. Against this Rockies offense on the road, like, he'll probably be okay. And so with that said, we're going to be on the Phillies. It's B grade value playing the -1. You can play the -1.5. It just ekes into the B grade value as of right now. You can play the money line. It's actually more middle of the road B grade value. So you're kind of looking at B grade no matter what here. I personally like the -1. We talk about this all the time. If you're new here, the way you make the -1 market is you bet a certain number. You bet whatever you're going to bet on the money line. Whatever that number wins, that's the number you type into risk on the run line. That's how you create the -1 market. That way, if they win by 1, you will push. You will win the one bet, lose the other, and get be exactly even at the end of the night if your book does not offer -1. The reason I like it, I don't like playing run lines for home teams. I don't mind it on the road as much, but I don't like it for the home team. And we all know why. It's because they aren't guaranteed that last at bat. If the game goes extra innings, if they're up 5-3 late, they give them a run. They don't care because they just want to win 5-4. Right. So I just don't like playing run lines with the home team. So -194 is not sexy. You may go for the run line because it's better odds. That's fine if that's your choice. Because Jared and I talked about it last week. It can burn you. So I just like this -1 personally. The money line price of -255 right now, is actually probably the best value, and it's very likely to hit. Model says the Phillies win 73% of the time, but sheesh, -255. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. And again, those prices can offer value. So I'm not saying they aren't. I'm just what we all know, right? Which is it doesn't take you losing very many of those to really affect your bankroll. So it's just not necessarily the most fun pick. It can be smart, but it's definitely one of those you have to be very confident in your probabilities and your assessments of that, or else you can get burned really fast. So that's why people, you might want to be cautious about that. That said, moneyline parlay of the day here, leg number 1, Phillies moneyline -255. We got another leg coming later that we're going to pair with this, and that's going to get us to plus odds. So it's the other way to play this game is in a 2-team moneyline parlay. If that's your thing, I think the Phillies are a great leg for that. It's going to be our first leg of that here for Monday. Rangers and Tigers, 6:40 p.m. Eastern. A little bit chillier in Detroit, mid-upper 60s to start, low 60s to close, but the winds will be blowing out. And I think that the temperature won't be so cold that the ball won't carry at all. I think the slight breeze out will give maybe a slight boost to runs, not much, just a little bit. Michael Lorenzen and Reese Olson, you have a lot of questions about both these guys. Reese Olson's a young guy. I've talked about him. I like him coming up. Very promising start to his career. Very mixed bag so far this season. Michael Lorenzen's a guy who's been a very mixed bag his whole career. Can't even decide if he's a hitter or a pitcher, right? Which is, again, an incredible talent that only is, surpassed by Ohtani's greatness. It's a wash with these starting pitchers. The Rangers have the better offense. Tigers probably the better bullpen, but not by much. So this is a game where the Rangers, are the better team, but they're on the road. And so that kind of balances out. So the model says this is another exact coin toss game, folks. So this plus 100, minus 100, not even a 101 there. So model says this one happens to be another straight coin toss. We don't see this often. We see more like 51-49, right? But straight 50-50 game. So Tigers plus 107 is a B grade. I'm just going to lock it in here as the official pick. And I probably should treat this the same way as the Guardians pick, which is I'm just waiting for a better number. But, they're really the same game. So why I did this there, I don't know. I'm tired. I have a newborn. But they're really the same thing. The A grade threshold here is plus 113. Plus 105 or better is B grade. And plus 105 is the lowest I play it. I see this one just like the Guardians. Coin toss game plus odds. We'll win one of them, lose one of them. And obviously it's 2 games. Maybe we'll win both or lose both. But when we get 100 of these, we'll probably go about 50-50. And if we're playing them all at plus odds, we'll turn out in the end. The reason why I decided to make this an official pick, while I said I wanted to see if there was a better number on the Guardians, or I wanted to give myself the first 5 option, is a couple things. Number one, I like the Tigers bullpen. So going full game doesn't scare me. Number 2, we faded the Tigers most of the weekend. I don't think we did it on Sunday, but we faded them both on Saturday. And so we got double wins with the Twins on Saturday. So the model fading the Tigers and then telling us to play the Tigers kind of usually it just catches my attention. But then number 3, kind of the cherry on top, was Michael Lorenzen, first start of the season here. I don't know what to expect. You just never know what to expect. And there's just always that extra room for something going crazy. You saw the Astros offense get going here on Saturday and Sunday against the Rangers, and that kind of wore their bullpen out a little bit. If Lorenzen doesn't go deep, things could get a little bit hairy for the Rangers here in this one as well, for some of that carryover effect. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying it's possible. So it's kind of a a little thing here, a little thing there kind of pushed me over the edge. And so let's lock in the Tigers here to B grade. But waiting on this one isn't crazy either. Like I kind of just assume people are going to bet on. I don't know. I could be wrong on this. Someone else probably knows better. But like I just assume people are going to bet on the Rangers. They're defending World Series champs. We haven't backed them a ton this year, just a couple times. They mostly haven't had a lot of value. I think that's because they're the World Series champs. I just have to assume that like throughout the day, people are going to be like, oh, look, the Tigers just struggled against the Twins and they're coming back to earth and the Rangers are good. And, you know, the Rangers, you know, minus 115, minus 120, and they'll get bet up to like minus 130 or something. Maybe that's wrong. But if it does, that's when the Tigers can get to the A-grade territory and we like them even more. So my philosophy here is going to be, I'm going to bet this at a B-grade. If the pricing's a little bit better, we could put a little bit more on it for that A-grade, you know, value. If you want to weigh a little bit, you can. But the plus odds in a coin toss game, too good to pass up for me here. Angels and the Rays, Patrick Sandoval and Zach Eflin. Sandoval has struggled mightily, to say the least, here in his 3 starts this season. 6.57 ERA, but the FIP is good. And so that's something that's potentially the silver lining if you are an Angels fan. The xFIP isn't as great, but the FIP is perfectly fine. Sandoval's rating still better than average because of the fact that he was just a very solid pitcher last year. Zach Eflin, I mean, same story. Rating still good because of last year. Struggled this year. Has gone 5 more innings than Sandoval, of note. So he's gone deeper, but 6.35 ERA. His isn't the FIP, it's the xFIP that's promising, 3.79. So both of these guys have struggled this year, but could turn it on. If nothing else, the way I look at this game is the Rays are home, number one. The Rays have a much better bullpen, number two. Offensively, I think both offenses are pretty solid. But then when you get to the pitchers, I think it's more likely than not that Eflin's the better pitcher in this one. Because 3 games into the season, the amount that we are waiting and should be waiting this season versus last season, this season should wait like 3 starts in, quick rough math in my head, maybe like 10%-ish. I mean, it shouldn't be much. Our weight should be more the previous season, the season before that, right? Waiting down, right? We're not going to wait 5 years ago what happened last year, right? Last year should get the biggest weight. You know, last year should get, I don't know, 50%. Rough math in my head at this point. I don't have a calculator in front of me. Zach Eflin's last year was better than Sandoval's. So I think Eflin's going to be the better pitcher. So then we got the Rays with the better bullpen by a long shot. Eflin's better pitcher. They're at home. They should be favored by a decent bit. Since both these pitchers have struggled, if both these pitchers struggle, the Rays with a better bullpen, they're at home. They still got a great chance to win this game, right? So it's like if Eflin pitches well, the Rays could just run away here. If not, they still have a great chance to win. And you kind of average those 2 possibilities. And you have to throw in the possibility that Eflin blows up and Sandoval figures it out. That's not impossible. It's just that's kind of the one real way the Angels are likely to win this game. So putting all that together, the model says the Rays win 64% of the time. The price should be minus 176. The A-grade threshold's minus 159. So we're going to go Rays minus 150 A-grade pick. And folks, this is leg 2 of our money line parlay of the day here for Monday. Rays and Phillies gets us to plus 132. So we like the Rays by itself, like the Rays in the parlay, whichever way you want to play them. This is one of our bigger money lines. Whichever way you like the least, I would recommend playing it half amount. That's my recommendation for you. We don't want to go too invested on any one game because baseball's random, sports are random, people are random, weird things happen, and we don't want to get hit by, you know, one random thing crushed us, right? Or Eflin gets hurt on the first pitch, right? Or whatever. So if you like the parlay more, make this bet half. Personally, I like to do full everything else is recommended and then make the half play on the parlay as just kind of an extra kicker. If things go the way we hope and think they will, we get a lot of extra bonus wins. So that's kind of the way I recommend it. Just don't go like 3 times bet on both of these or whatever, because then one thing bad happens and all of a sudden you've lost both. So we love the Rays here, though. A great pick. One of the best value spots on the board here for Monday. 7:07 p.m. Yankees at the Blue Jays. A chilly night in Toronto, upper 40s, so we should have the roof closed. The Blue Jays, loved the Blue Jays on Sunday. One of the many, we had a pretty good little Sunday here. Back-to-back really good Sundays. I think maybe all 3 Sundays really good for us over on Dub Club with all those picks. Loved the Blue Jays on Sunday because the model told us to go the other direction Friday and Saturday. So we split with the Rockies Friday, Saturday, first 5. Won the first one, lost the second one, but both were plus odds. So we won money. And we said, oh my gosh, stay away from the Blue Jays. They're overpriced. And all of a sudden the model said Blue Jays have an edge on Sunday. I was like, sure, let's do it. So love the Blue Jays on Sunday. Now they're playing a real team again in the Yankees, number 4 offense in baseball. The Blue Jays offense ranked number 6 at a 109. It just goes to show what I've talked about. There's like the Dodgers think number 1, Braves number 2. Y'all can see later because I'll have all the teams here. I think Astros are 3, Yankees are 4. I don't know if they're talking about who's number 5, but it's a big drop and you can see it. And there's a bunch of teams between like 6 and 20 that are the gap between 6 and 20 is the same as the gap between like 6 and 1, right? And we see this every year with every sport. That's the way it happens. That middle just gets jumbled up. So the Blue Jays right now, if they keep playing better on offense like they've been playing, part of that's because they just got to face the Rockies. If that gets them going, though, then they'll start trending up towards that top tier. If they come back to the north, they'll be right in the middle of that pack again. So just some thoughts there. Starting pitcher-wise, it's a wash, Luis Gil and Chris Bassett. Gil, 2 starts, a 3 ERA, decent enough underlying metrics, very respectable pitcher. Bassett, 1 extra start, 3 starts, 5.06 ERA. Underlying metrics are a little bit of a concern for him so far this season. Hasn't gone great, not really in the top form at this point. If he continues to pitch like this, his rating will be in the triple digits soon enough. So if you're a current form kind of better, Luis Gil has the edge there. But Bassett has enough historical, like he was good enough last year that we think he'll improve a little bit off of that. And so that's kind of where we get to. It's a wash with regards to the pitch. It's pretty much a wash on the bullpens. The biggest difference is this Yankees offense is really good. And that's why they are road favorites. Model gives them a 52% chance to win. It means the price should be minus 109, minus 101 on the Yankees. Let's lock that in as a B grade. I don't see it getting any better than that. I do think we might be entering into a little bit of the Blue Jays getting a little bit too much love. And we saw that this weekend with the just insane prices that they had on Friday, Saturday that were very undeserving, in my opinion. And so we might be getting a little bit too much Blue Jays love, might be getting a little bit here. The Yankees team's pretty good. I know they're on the road, but I think the Blue Jays, the Yankees should be favored in this game. And y'all have heard me say it before. Anytime we can get reasonable value in the Yankees, I jump. To me, the Yankees and the Dodgers are the teams that, it's not crazy to play them 1 grade higher because the number of times whenever we see Yankees A grade, it's like automatically make that some sort of play of the day, like auto, because you just see it 3 times a year. B grades B grades in the Yankees are like A grades on other teams. You see them, but you won't see them all the time. And so I think this is a great investment on the Yankees here. I think people are thinking that Bassett's the much better pitcher, and I'm just not convinced that's true. And so then it's all about the offenses again, and Yankees offense much, much better. This Blue Jays offense, again, not that good. And I think you kind of saw it this weekend against some of those weak Rockies pitchers. They still didn't put up a ton of runs like they could have. Like on Sunday, they won handily because the Rockies didn't score because the Rockies offense isn't very good, right? But they only have 5 runs. It's not that good. Right. So against that team at home. Right. So that's why I said, I'm sure their offense is I think people are pricing their offense like they're as good as the Yankees, but I'm like, if their offense was as good as people think, they should have put up 10 on Sunday or 8 or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's more reasonable. But anyway, Yankees minus 101 B grade pick. I like that one there. Pirates and the Mets, folks, we got the Mets as a winner on Friday. People laughed picking the Mets against the Royals. And then we went with the Royals first 5 on Saturday. That was our extra credit free pick on Twitter. Plus 140. Got that one. And then we went back the Mets and then on Sunday and got that one. I don't know. It blows my mind that we're zigging and zagging with the Mets really well here. I don't know if we'll have that same luck here against the Pirates. The Pirates have been an all over the map team. Their bullpen has been very up and down. Their offense at times has looked good, at times hasn't. They'll throw Martin Perez, who results-wise has been phenomenal. Underlying metrics are pretty solid. His rating's going the right direction. If he keeps pitching like this, and I'm not talking about just the results, the underlying metrics. If he keeps doing what he's doing, the things that he can control, he's setting up to look more like he did, whatever that was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago with the Rangers when he had that really good year. The issue is we can't project that going forward because there's been times between that where he's been terrible. So, again, if your current form kind of better, Martin Perez has looked fantastic this year so far. It's only 3 starts, but he's looked great, and the underlying metrics support it. It's not been fluky. Adrian Hauser, on the other hand, 5.40 ERA, underlying metrics said that's about right. Not a good pitcher. I mean, the Pirates have the edge here at starting pitcher. Both bullpens are very solid. I think the Pirates have more depth. The Mets have Edwin Diaz, and the Pirates' closer situation is a little bit shaky at this point because Bednar's just been all over the map. So bullpen's probably a wash, but it is an interesting note that one's better on depth, one's better on the ninth inning closeout. Both offenses, I mean, the Mets right in the middle of that pack, both these teams right in the middle of the pack, very different. 9 and 17 seem like they're different, but that's why we put the grade there. The difference in the grade between 100 and 105 is not much at all. And I think that's fair. Both these offenses have had times this season where they look good and times where they don't. I think it's interesting that the Mets are a little bit left-hand heavy. They fare better against righties. It gives them a boost. The Pirates are a little bit left-hand heavy. That gives them a little bit of a ding against a lefty. And Martin Perez, maybe I have that crisscrossed here. I think I have that crisscrossed here on the slide. I think I have it right on my notes here, but wrong. The Mets are a little right-handed heavy, so they are better against the lefty and Perez. I looked at the slide and that's wrong. So flip what I said there, but whatever. The point is the model's got all that figured out, and the offensive gap gets a little bit bigger because the Mets being able to face off against a lefty, whereas the Pirates would rather be facing a lefty, maybe gives the Mets a little bit, brings them back into it, given the fact that Martin Perez is the better starting pitcher. That combined with the fact they're at home is what says the model is why the model gives them that's 52% chance to win. Right now they are favored, and I don't think right now the price is exactly where the model would have it. So right now we are just in lockstep with the market with regards to this this side. So this again is right now just a straight pass. We'll see what happened to the first 5 market. We've had some takes. Silence had some takes on the Pirates' first 5s, seeing them differently than the market has based off of the difference in how we're seeing starting pitchers and bullpens. So this one is ripe for a first 5 play. I don't know if we'll have one, but that's what I'm keeping my eye on here. But right now there's nothing to touch on the side. Total wise, kind of the same thing, not really great value. It'll be a pitcher friendly night in a pitcher friendly ballpark. Citi Field's one of the more pitcher friendly ballparks in the league. That's not on the West Coast. Mid-60s to start, upper 50s to close, so a little bit chilly. Wind, not really big, but maybe slight breeze in. But that park, any sort of pitcher-friendly atmosphere at all, plus it's already pitcher-friendly. The pitchers are going to be helped out a lot, but unfortunately, the current total is 8.5, not 9. 9 at good odds, I'd be happy with, but 8.5 I'm not. So right now, I think mainly we might find a first 5 market. Otherwise, I'm not really dying to bet that game. Padres and the Brewers. This is the play of the day here. Join the honor roll on Dub Club, or you can get the play of the day package for this game. Have all the notes sent out, a little bit of AI write-up that we have some fun with there. Has been already sent out for this game. So this is your play of the day, Padres and the Brewers, 7:40 p.m. Eastern. Roof closed. Chilly night in Milwaukee. Joe Musgrove and Joe Ross join us on Dub Club exclusively to see who we like in the Battle of the Joes. 7:40 p.m. Royals and the White Sox. No grade there. It looks like this is finally Nicholas Nastrini time. We thought he would have him earlier. Does not get a rating yet. He's not even on the 40-man officially yet, so he doesn't get into my database for that. Treating this like a bullpen-ish game, not expecting them to let him go 7 innings by any stretch of the imagination. And with these young kids, we don't really know what to expect anyway. And I've mentioned this before, we tend to know how these games are going to go on average based off of how good the team is and how good the bullpen is. There are exceptions to that rule. The Astros having an entire rotation on the IL, that's an exception to the rule. The White Sox aren't in that boat. The fact that we know who they're starting, we have a little bit of an idea of where he'll slot in, but it's still kind of a guess. So no rating for him. Putting our best foot forward as to how we think based off all these other factors we know leads us to this projection here. The Royals win this 61% of the time. The Royals offense is going the right direction for the most part, even though they lost 2 or 3 to the Mets. Their relievers also probably going the right direction because they started off, we're, I think, greatly worse than they are now, but it's not like the White Sox have good relievers. There's no official line on this one, but the model says the Royals should be minus 157. Here's what I'll say about the White Sox. I'm not playing them full game probably at all the rest of the season. I feel like I do not trust their bullpen. I do not trust the team whatsoever. If I'm going to play them, I'm going to play them first 5 at A grade value. It's got to be great value, and I want to get the heck out of Dodge as soon as possible. The White Sox have been a profitable team to back this year, at least as of a couple of days ago. I don't know if it's still true because the price is so high. So what that means for us is, for the most part, we're not running to fade them necessarily. If we have value, we're happy to fade them, but we're not running to blind fade them because that would be a losing proposition. But that doesn't mean we have to back them either. So gonna mostly just kind of stay away from them as a bad team unless there's good value either direction. I'd love to back the Royals here. Seth Lugo has looked fantastic. He gets a 96 grade, 145 ERA on the season. If we can back the Royals, I'd love to. I'm just, again, no line out of as of yet. If this price ends up, it's probably going to end up like minus 160, minus 170. I'm like, well, it's not that the Royals shouldn't win. It's that the price is just so high, it's not worth investing in. But I mean, I'm not backing the White Sox unless the price is through the roof. So my hunch is we're going to be passing on the side on this one, at least for the full game. Maybe we'll have an edge on the first 5. But as of now, I'm not even sure that's the case. Maybe we'll have a total play. Again, full update with our best recommendation, pick or not. So, recommend a pick or not. Always comes in double cup, getting a free trial in the link description. Braves and the Astros. The Astros are now up offensively to number 1. It's kind of jockeying around between the Astros, the Braves, the Dodgers there, and the Astros scoring a bunch of runs here on Saturday, Sunday. Again, just showing what they can do. Should be a nice night in Houston, low 70s. I'm projecting the roof to be open. If it's open or not, that temperature, it shouldn't really affect things very much. I hope they open up the roof because it should be a beautiful night there in Houston. 2 pitchers who you don't really know a lot about, probably Darius Vines and Spencer Arrighetti. Arrighetti made it 3 innings last time as one of the Astros' top prospects, but I believe I mentioned this last time when he was pitching. He's not like the top prospects the Astros have had in the past. He's the top prospect coming up because he's like their 11th best pitcher because all the guys in the IL, their farm system's got a little bit weaker because they haven't been drafting at the top of the draft in a decade now. And so it's not quite the same. I'm not saying he's not a good pitcher. I'm just not sure. Like he gets a 126 grade and like his ceiling is probably like a 120, 115. Like if everything goes right, like I don't think he's going to be a very good pitcher. Like, I think he's just going to eat some innings at this point. I'm sure he's a nice kid. From everything I've read and seen and the data that we have, the minor league data, everything, like, it's not like we're just jumping up saying like, this kid's going to be the next ace, right? Hunter Brown came up and we're like, this kid might be a top 2 pitcher for a team. Not saying that here. So the Braves have the edge starting pitcher, Darius Vines. We're higher on him, higher on the minor league data, etc. But like, also a young guy, not big error bars on it. So take that for what it's worth. The Braves have a massive edge at bullpen because their bullpen's the best in baseball. Sideline's got the Braves winning this 56% of the time. So if we can get minus 126 or better, the model would say that's value. Minus 113 gets us to the A grade. Right now, there's no line on this. I don't know why. I don't know. It looks like both these pitchers are confirmed. But I don't see a line out on this. But I think we're going to be leaning on the Braves on this one. The only question is what the grade is. If we go minus 1, if we go, I assume we wouldn't go first 5 because we want the full game if we take the Braves bullpen. But I think the model's going to tell us that the Vines over Arrighetti matchup leans us towards the Braves. Cubs and the D-backs. A nice night in Arizona there, especially for this time of year, on 70 degrees to start, low 60s. To finish. Don't know if they'll open or close them. That's the big question mark on this one. If they open it, it's not like it's going to be overly hot, obviously, and the ball flying out. It'll be a little bit chilly. So Big question marks on the total on this one based off of what they do with the roof. So that's something to keep an eye on. Ben Brown versus Merrill Kelly. Brown has thrown out of the pen once as a bulkish guy, I guess you'd call it. Started once. Hasn't gone great with the results, but the underlying metrics are fine for him. That's why he still gets a 90 grade. The underlying metrics are very promising for Ben Brown. Merrill Kelly, just a very solid, consistent pitcher. Gets a 91 grade. Has pitched better than that this season. I mean, he's always a guy who seems to just overperform every expectation ever since he's come back from overseas. Merrill Kelly's been a guy we've loved to back at home specifically. A little bit on the road, but man, at home, he's been undervalued. He's outperformed consistently. And so, we never want to fade Merrill Kelly at home. Is kind of the bottom line we've gone with here. And we've tried to back him as much as possible because he's just been a great guy to back. Bullpen wise, Diamondbacks have the edge. Offensive wise, both offenses are fairly solid. Two solid teams here in the National League. Two solid pitchers. Should be a good game. Also, the Diamondbacks win this 55% of the time. Why? Because A, they're home, B, their bullpen's a little bit better. Here's the issue. They're priced at minus 135 right now. And the model says it should be minus 120. So the model, I think, is trying to tell us like, hey, Ben Brown's a good pitcher. I'm looking at it like, sure, but it's Merrill Kelly at home. Like, we've been down this road a lot the last several years, right? So right now the model would lean you to the Cubs, and it would be a C+ grade. I'm not fading Merrill Kelly for a C grade period. So right now I'm passing. If the Cubs get out to plus 140, which would be A grade territory, sure. Maybe we'll look first five because I don't really trust this Cubs bullpen, and the Diamondbacks bullpen's got some decent arms, even though they've got Sewell out. They've got a lot of depth. They're throwing guys in the 6th, 7th innings who are, just as good as the guys they're throwing in the 8th and 9th. They're all just good, decent arms. So I'd probably be more interested in the first 5 market on the Cubs if we were to do it, but I need the value because I don't want to fade Merrill Kelly unless the value's there. So model's telling us Cubs, but we got to get the right price because I'm not fading Merrill Kelly at home is the bottom line. Or I don't want to, at least. Cardinals at the A's. Upper 50s to start, low 50s to close. Slight breeze blowing out. It'll play pretty much like a standard night in Oakland. This will be very typical what they see there. Sonny Gray was aces in his first start. And that's what we said. You just never know in that first start guy coming back. Sometimes they look great. Sometimes they look terrible. Sometimes they look average. Sometimes they just go short. Who knows, right? But he was fantastic. 5 great innings for the Cardinals. Everything they were hoping for. 83 grade, massive edge to the Cardinals in the starting pitcher department. Ross Stripling, around an average grade, 5.50 ERA. Underlying metrics this year, very positive for him. So something to keep an eye out here, like very encouraging. I mean, if you're an A's fan, I guess first off, I'm sorry. What's happening to your team is pathetic and sad and terrible. But if you're an A's fan, you probably have given up and you're probably like, I don't care. Because why would you, right? When the owners, doesn't care about you. But if you're rooting for the A's here, you have to be pleasantly surprised with Ross Stripling in that those underlying metrics like really do indicate like he might be a respectable starter. And why is that good? I mean, if he turns that around, he can be a good trade piece and get young prospects and help out for next couple of years or whatever, right? Maybe that's more exciting if you live in Sacramento. I don't know. All that said, Sonny Gray's still the better pitcher, right? No bones about it. So I'm just saying that the gap the gap's over a standard deviation, but it's not maybe what we would have thought coming into the season. Coming into the season, I think we would have thought it was closer to 2, whereas now we're saying it's more like 1 1/3. Relievers, Cardinals, good relievers. A's, very meh. Again, all really Mason Miller. Other than that, I don't trust any of those guys. Miller did throw on Sunday. I don't remember if he threw on Saturday. He threw. He didn't throw one of the nights they were in a game. I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday. I'm getting them crisscrossed. So he's obviously the one to keep an eye on there. Offensively, the A's offense, again, not bad. Cardinals offense, very solid. I mean, Cardinals are a better team. I'm not breaking any news there. Model says they won 61% of the time. The price should be minus 156. The price is minus 167. I'm not surprised. I think we're going to end up with a lot of these, we should be either backing the A's or passing on a lot of these games. It's how we're going to play probably most of them at this point, it seems like, because they're not a good team, but the price is going to get out of hand. I think it gets out of hand here. I'm not running to play the A's, but the price on the Cardinals is just too steep. Like, Stripling's not terrible. This A's offense isn't terrible. They've got their bullpen's like okay-ish. I mean, the A's are just very okay right now. They're very subpar. They're not stupid terrible, right? And so minus 167 for a road team is just not something I'm excited about with Stripling on the mound. With a crappy pitcher on the mound, then sure. But Stripling, again, underlying metrics, not that bad. So right now, the current price of plus 153 wouldn't be any value on the A's either. So we're not running to play the A's. Maybe we'd play them first 5. That's not a bad way to look to play the A's because of the fact that they, the bullpen a disadvantage. We'll see what the price is in the morning, because the market may fully capture that and make us not have the value we need. So right now, not worth an investment. As with most teams, it's probably going to be A's or pass. Right now, the price isn't good enough to play the A's. Maybe the first 5 will. We'll see in the morning. Also, that time slot, Reds versus Mariners, very chilly night in Seattle, low 40s. And again, they have a roof, but it doesn't enclose, so it's just going to be cold there. Wind will be blowing across, so no wind effect, just the temperature. The ball doesn't fly in that park anyway. I don't think you're going to see a lot of runs tomorrow. That's the bottom line, I would say. Issues with playing the under. Number 1, Reds bullpen is truly terrible. And number 2, the model says 7.3. Again, you get all the totals. I'm not talking about all of them, but all of them on Dub Club. Small surprise about that. I would have really thought it would have been upper 6s. To me, it's under a pass. I'm seeing 7.5 out there. But all that said, we like the side better here. The Mariners will have the edge starting pitcher, George Kirby over Frankie Montas. And you look at the ERAs and you'd be like, LOL. One guy has an ERA of 2.16. One guy has an ERA of 8.16. It's a small sample size. Let's not panic. FIP for Kirby, 297. For Montas, 319. Both guys' xFIP's around 4. So, I mean, both of these pitchers are good. Montas is a big asterisk because he's looked great. Now, the underlying metrics, you can say probably not quite as good as the results so far, but I mean, 2.16 ERA is insanely good. He's the big asterisk because of the injury history and kind of the struggles that he was on the field, not pitching well, kind of through some of the injury stuff, and then not pitching right. His number's going to adjust quickly. If he keeps pitching like this, he will reach Kirby. Here's the thing, is that if Kirby does what he did last year, and if Kirby's underlying metrics stay like this, ignore the fact that he's given up some runs and just look at the underlying metrics of what he can control. Because here's the thing, look, and we're at an hour mark. So, I mean, at this point, if you're still here with me, you love baseball and you love betting baseball and you want to learn about betting baseball. So here, let me share some knowledge with you, right? ERA is what we always use. Why have we always used ERA? Because it's easy to calculate. Easiest to calculate. But what we've done with ERA is we have decided that if a fielder makes an error, that run is 100% his fault. And if the ball is ruled a hit, it is 100% the pitcher's fault. And I think we can all agree that's an oversimplification. That's what we're trying to do with the underlying metrics. We're trying to say, a ground ball goes between the shortstop's legs for the third out of the inning, and then the pitcher gives up 7 straight home runs. That's 7 unearned runs. He gave up 7 home runs. Like, at some point, you can't just say, like, the pitcher didn't do anything wrong, right? The pitcher, like, was responsible for most of that, right? But his ERA would be 0. So that's why ERA is a little bit flawed. And I'm not saying the underlying metrics are perfect. I'm just saying that it is a better way to try to say, when a ball's hit, there are some hits that are just hits, and there are some hits that might be fluky, and some hits that might be lucky, and some hits that are a different fielder would have gotten, or a different fielder in a different position, or how many times should that have been a hit, or he made a great attempt and he got the guy out, and it's like, really, you should maybe be dinging the pitcher a little bit, even though he didn't give up a run, right? Because he got lucky out of it. All that to say, we're so trained to look at things like ERA and be like, oh, 8 ERA or whatever. ERA is not the best metric to use. I talk about it here because I know people are talking about it, but it's not the best metric to use when trying to figure out what's going forward, because it is a very bad way of trying to assess what happened and who was responsible, because we all should be able to agree that there's shared responsibility and there's another third-party responsibility of just luck and random. The guy happened to be standing in the wrong spot, or a guy hits a 10-mile-an-hour dinker that's like a swinging bunt, right? Things like that you wouldn't necessarily say bad pitcher. You'd be like, no, he did good. Like that was just fluky, right? So that's where we look at these underlying metrics. If Kirby keeps doing these underlying metrics, keeps doing what he did last year, he's an 80 grade pitcher. Here's the thing. If Montas keeps doing what he's doing, he's an 80 grade pitcher too. We aren't putting him there yet because we want to just make sure we don't overreact, but he's looking good so far. So here's the asterisk on this. Here's the thing, and here's why I like the Mariners at -145. Here's why we love the A grades. Okay. If you're a Reds fan, I'm sorry. I don't hate your team. I just think they're overvalued, right? Here's why we like the A grades. If we're still missing on something, we still have a reasonably good play. And that's what this is about. That's why the A grade threshold is -151. It's saying as long as you're getting a price like that, we are still within the margin of error of knowing if we're off on Montas. And the model's not saying which thing we're off on. It's just kind of giving us that like wiggle room. If we're off on Montas and he's really an 80, then the price shouldn't be -167, but it probably should be like -155. And that would still make -150 a good play. That's why we like the A grade. So model says 62%. Let's say Montas is back, fully back, and he's an 80 grade, which I think is about as good as he's going to get for him based off of his underlying metrics and based off his peak in Oakland. Then great. The Mariners still have the better offense because the Reds are missing 3 key guys. Mariners have much better relievers. Mariners are home. So we love the Mariners here. We just want to make sure we don't play too high of a price, especially because we might be missing something on Montas. That's what makes the -145 an A grade. -150 will be an A grade. That or better is hey, even if Montas is pitching really well, the Mariners should still be solid favorites in this game. And if there's any bit of Montas isn't quite this good, he's, just a little bit worse than he's shown so far, then the Mariners have an edge everywhere, every inning, it seems like. So Mariners home doesn't mean they're a lock to win. It just means they win this game a higher percentage of the time than the odds imply, making them a very smart pick. And then wrapping us up, Nats and the Dodgers. Dodgers coming off the Sunday night game here. We'll stay at home, so should have really no effect there. Mid-50s, wind to be blowing out a little bit chilly of a night in LA, so maybe a little bit pitcher friendly. Right now, there is no line on this game because Tyler Glasnow is confirmed for the Dodgers. The Nats have not confirmed anybody. Fangraphs is showing Patrick Corbin. So the numbers shown here are for him to start. If it is Corbin, he's not as bad as that 8.44 ERA. He's still not good. He wasn't good last year, and the Dodgers offense is really good and should have no problems hitting him very well. Glasnow, 4 starts now, had the extra start, of course, because of the Korea games. 2.25 ERA, FIP and XFIP below 30. 72 grade. Like he's number 6 in the starting pitcher database and could be number 3 after another good start. If you're Dodgers fan, you have to be thrilled with what you've got from Tyler Glasnow here. Obviously, you want to see if he can start going 7 innings, but if he gives you 6 innings of this all season long, man, that's fantastic. So, Dodgers will have a huge edge on offense, have a huge edge at starting pitcher. The bullpen edge is a little bit smaller. Again, no line for now. The Dodgers should be big favorites here. We'll see what the number is. If we're able to continue to play the Dodgers -1, I think in general that's going to be a fairly smart play until the price starts getting stupid. It's not stupid yet. I think the Dodgers might be a little bit undervalued this year because everyone's kind of freaking out about their starting pitcher situation. Rightfully so, but that doesn't really affect us game to game. That kind of affects the overall outlook and affects maybe what's going to happen later on with regards to bullpen usage and wear and tear and stuff like that. But I said it, whatever it was, I don't know, for Saturday's game, I was like, Gavin Stone, or Friday's game, whatever it was, I was like, Gavin Stone isn't terrible. He's not bad. I know he struggled, but these underlying metrics, I think he'll be okay. And sure enough, I think he threw 5 perfect innings to start or something. And it's that's the thing is the Dodgers still have arms, right? As many arms they have, they're like the Astros. The Astros still have arms too. The Astros have fewer arms, unfortunately, but the Dodgers have even more. And especially with them getting Walker Buehler back here pretty soon, they'll be fine. And Tyler Glasnow is legit. And I don't know, this offense is legit. I'm not a huge fan of this Nats team. You saw them blow it against the A's here on Sunday, a game that they were up 6-1 on late, and they couldn't hold on. And that's the bottom line with this Nats team is they're going to win some games, but they're going to just straight up lose a bunch of games, and they're going to blow some games they should win. And you pair that with the Dodgers, and this is one of those, like, the Dodgers would win like 120 games probably if they were to play every single game in LA. Now, that's not going to happen, obviously, but that's the way Dodgers get to like 120 wins is by only playing a team like the Nats, especially if you have a pitcher mismatch this big. I mean, this is a massive starting pitcher mismatch. So probably it's Dodgers or pass. I don't think you can give me a hot price high enough to like the Nats on this one. The biggest thing is we just don't want to play the Dodgers at like minus 500 because baseball's random enough. Like the Dodgers would lose this game on occasion. Model says about 1 out of 4 times. So that's why we're looking for really a number that starts with a 2 on the money line. And then again, we'll probably just shift over to -1 to make the odds a little bit better. But yeah, Dodgers are pass on that one. I love these big starting pitcher mismatches. So I love Glasnow here against a guy like Corbin, who the Dodgers should be able to handle. The only caveat to this, I'm going to go back to here. The only caveat to this, and again, I have them flip-flopped here because I think I have who your pitcher is, not the other pitcher, but the Dodgers against a lefty, which is what Corbin would be, dropped from 127 to 120. The Nats against a righty, which is what Glasnow is, go from an 80 to 84. So they're both left-handed heavy. So that's just kind of the something to note there that otherwise the gap between these offenses is even bigger, but the gap narrows a little bit here if it is Patrick Corbin a lefty because the Dodgers are really left-handed heavy, and that makes sense, right? When obviously you have Mookie a righty, but then the next 2 guys are Tony and Freeman are lefties. They added Teoscar Hernandez because they wanted the right-handed bat because they've got Muncy as a lefty as well. So just a lot of left-handed bats there relative to how many normally you have. So that's kind of the only caveat. Otherwise, though, the Dodgers should be big favorites. Again, if it's not Patrick Corbin, we'll make the update for whoever that is in the morning and have a pick on Dub Club. That's all we've got. We went over an hour today, probably because that long intro, and sorry for that. Hopefully that was some good information. If you haven't yet, please hit the like button. Just remember, Dub Club gets you all this stuff, information, summaries, picks, Discord, all sorts of goodies. 10-day trial. If you haven't signed up yet, that QR code will link in the show description. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. Best of luck. And remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.